Thank you, MC, for giving me the opportunity to offer my condolences to Beryl's children and Beryl's family. As some of you may know, we were actually the same generation. When she came to the University of Nairobi and was 2 years behind, I was in Dar es Salaam at the time, but we all knew each other around Starlight and Alliance. Those of you who are my generation, like my sister Ida, would know what that was. Somewhere along the line, and I'll cut this very short, in the first week of December 1980, my late friend, Honorable Raila Odinga, and the man we called Edgar Tekere, with his Chimurenga name, together with Professor Atieno Odhiambo, walked into my house to bring me presents for a child I had just delivered. That was before we, the teaching staff at the University of Nairobi, scattered to the four corners of the world. As it turned out, the fiasco at the University of Nairobi kicked me out of that institution to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and so I arrived in Zimbabwe. One of those days, I was representing the country at Chitungwiza. I knew Beryl was there, and I had run into her with the famous husband of hers, and we had said hello. But when we met at Chitungwiza at a function, we went back to our school days and the common numerous friends we had in between. We laughed, we talked. At the end, we decided to continue with what we used to do at Alliance and Starlight. We went to Sandros and danced until the sun came up. The last is so much in between, this is neither the place nor the time, because this is the time to say goodbye. The last time I saw Beryl, I had gone to the Jaramogi Institute, and there was a commotion. We were doing the elections of 2022, and a delegation I was with said that they could not access the building. So I went in to get our barber to come and talk to them. As soon as I walked into his office, he sprang up and he said, "Have you seen your friend? Your friend is here." I said, "No." I was not in doubt at all about who he was talking about. We ran out of there, went to another room where Beryl was. To cut a long story short, I never went back to see Baba. We sat there with Beryl. By the time we realized, so many hours later, we were the only people left in the building. What I can tell you in those interactions is that Beryl was a very sweet-natured person. She had a hilarious sense of humor. She brought a lot of joy to those of us who are proud to have called her a friend. May her soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
May I acknowledge the presence of the good governor of Mombasa County, Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir. Thank you, sir, for finding time to condole with us. The rest of us, may we remain settled to allow the program to continue. Chair.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Thank you. Asante sana Bigi. Our next speaker, she's the Iron Lady of the Odingas. You know, our next speaker is soft, but when provoked, she's extremely tough. My very able treasurer, we've worked very well with her. Nyakamami. Karibu. She worked tirelessly. We worked tirelessly to ensure that everything is in place. Right from the hospital, she's been there. Karibu Nyakamami, karibu.
Riding on the protocols that have already been observed,
May I request that we be settled to allow Honorable Ruth Odinga to address us. Kindly, protocol officers, assist our guests to settle so that we can proceed. Kindly. Mheshimiwa.
as you all know, my name's Ruth AJAABU Odinga, Buzia. I am the 9th born and officially the last born of Mary and Jaramogi. Beryl was my sister, or is my sister. I would not want to say it was. Youth leader is the firstborn, and I'm the lastborn. So you can imagine how youthful I still am, if youth is still leader. It's a bit hard for me to actually stand up here to talk about my sister Beryl as if she's no more. Beryl and I were very, very close. Beryl is a sister I had when all my other siblings, my older siblings, were abroad. Honorable Buru was in Russia. Honorable His Excellency Raila Odinga was in Germany. My sister Wenwa was in Germany. My brother Gola was in Russia. And so, basically, Wenwa is Beryl was the one who went to Nairobi University. But before that, she was the one who was with us. For me, she loved me a lot. I was that young sister they all had that they never expected their mother to have. Even between me and my brother, who had believed all the years that he was the lastborn, I came maybe 6 years after him, so nobody had expected me to be there. So they all pampered me, but Beryl was there with me as I was growing up. When I was in primary, I remember she even wrote an essay for me in school, and when I went, the teacher was very suspicious. Mr. Fernandez said, "Are you sure you're the one who wrote this?" Because Beryl had impeccable English, and she was really good in English. So she wrote for me an essay that was not for a person who is in standard 5. The teacher then made me a week later to write the same essay, and you can imagine what happened. But Beryl really mattered us. I lived with her as she was married to the husband then, Ambala. And actually, when a woman was born in Victoria, I'm the first one who held her because she had had a very long labor during birth, giving birth. So Auma, Chizi, even Taurai in Zimbabwe, I am the one, the little sister, who always lived with Beryl. As fate would have it, I even went to live with Beryl in Zimbabwe. That was after the 1982 coup, which saw some of us, including Governor Orengo here, go into exile. Going into exile, I lived a bit in Uganda, Tanzania, but Tanzania we were told is not safe. They were returning all refugees to Kenya, so then had to go to Zimbabwe and live with Beryl in Zimbabwe, where I did Form 5 and Form 6. I was one of the only people who went to school through Beryl, who went to school driving a Jaguar and parked it next to the teachers who didn't have Jaguar. You can imagine how I was getting a lot of X's on in my exams. So Beryl was a very special person. Amongst us all, apart from Raila, I would say Beryl is someone who loved her family. She wasn't such a public person, but Beryl loved her family. She loved us all. And she strived, because Beryl was a classy lady. She believed, and I think it's true anyway, that we come from a royal background, and therefore we must always remain royal. That was my sister Beryl. She didn't want all this, and she'll tell you, you get what I mean. I get it, because, and you get it. Are you getting it, you people? Yeah, that's Auntie B for you. She taught us impeccable English. She taught us to read. I read the first comic books when I was in standard 4. There was Dandy, there was Bino, there was Andy Cap, there was Tintin. You know, anyone of you can remember those. Then she put us into James Hadley Chase, which are some novels. And she loved reading. She loved novels. She loved us to know. She taught me how to use my fork and knife and to put it properly. And she taught me a lot, and she taught all of us. We all lived with her in Zimbabwe. My brother died, and she took up my brother, the third born, Agola. She took up Agola's children and Agola's wife and took them to Zimbabwe. Hello, this is so shameful. So shameful of our leaders. This is wrong. Completely wrong.
Niombe sote tuketi ili tuendelee na ratiba. Niombe asante. Niombe sote tuliosimama tusalie kuketi, na niwakumbushe kwamba tuko kwa ibada ya wakfu. Wewe ulio na vuvuzela na hiyo bango, huyo kijana aweke chini. Utaweka chini. Sisi tumekuja hapa kuomboleza, na hiyo ndio itafanyika hapa. Ninaomba sasa tumpatie nafasi aliyekuwa anatuzungumzia anapoendelea hapa. Kama nilivyopanga, maafisa walio na sare rasmi ya serikali peke yake, wengine wote walinzi na wasaidizi bukae nje ya hema, na itifaki hiyo ifuatwe kikamilifu. Nikuombe kwa unyenyekevu, Mheshimiwa Ruth Odinga, uendelee na hotuba yako. Samahani.
Hello? We can't even continue. It is unfair to come and do this kind of thing. My sister was so peaceful. She would have loved to have a peaceful funeral. My fellow colleagues, my fellow politicians, this is an embarrassment. It is not right. Haya, naendelea. Wacha niendelee. My sister was the first woman in the independent Zimbabwe and first black to become the town clerk in the third largest city called Mutare. You can imagine how hard it was working that time when there was still just independence, and most of those blacks there wanted themselves to become the clerks. And so they gave her a hard time, but being a tough lady, she managed to work there, and later, as Dr. Salia said, went on to work in Chitungwiza, the largest high-density urban settlement in Zimbabwe. Beryl was very staunch. She was a tough lawyer. She worked, and even up to her death, she was in the Nairobi. She was at the chairman of the railway pension scheme. Then, followed by that, Beryl became the Athi Water chair, and now she was the chair of the Nairobi Water. Beryl is a strong lady, and in a strong lady. My son, Papa, when you talk, you never, Papa, when you talk, you never told people you are my son. That is my last born son, and I to a Papa Odinga huyo. Owashana na wash the luo matin. Udwa na wash the luo. Odaku wash the luo maero mongo ni yawa. Awachonu ni. Bele na chieng handi muna nokani. Nenya Odinga mathuon kabisa. Ene molwa kinyi wenwa mabende thuon. Awash ni dalani. Okaneno ngamok thuon. Jite ewaluo koth baba. Kokata mama we no tegno. Beryl ni osetiyo ka eka notieko to dhi otiyo Zimbabwe. Ene dhako mane okuongo bedo town clerk e Zimbabwe mane bang' independence. Koro eka notieko kuno to duogo. Beryl ne jahera. Wan wasome tie Beryl. Makata minena kani gi joma wan godo kae wan wate wasome tie Beryl. Beryl noko ng'amoero koko. Miya kwa jogi nowego koko. Giye wa ik Beryl gi hera gi luoro mano hero. To Beryl ne gi herrego wadgi ma Raila. Ma hera manyo gin go gi Raila. Kata an gi nyamera makinyi. Kanyo watuoe, nwacho watuo Beryl. An manya sebedo katuo Beryl. Atuo ima tere India. Aduogo kode Kenya. Adoga tere India kendo machiegni ni. Majuo kode manyo tho e lweta. To nyo tho komor. Nas nyo tho kapodo smile. Nyo kodwa tho. To nyo tegno gi chunye nwacho nyako mathuon. Nyo kwadwa neno ni tho nyore. To en nyako mano tegno. To maugik. Nyocho secha kodhi maber manyocho dhi kada Zimbabwe. To kane waduogo ma wayudo ka mane Raila to nwawacho. Wan gi nyamera makinyi. Kiawa. Beryl motamre ibago Raila ni. Moko ni wan wawacho ng'amo kia no thono. Nwache ni monego tho ni kiewa kang' no budhi. Kapok oluo wadgi. To mane kako timore. Oluo wadgi. Wageno nobo bedo kode. E achiel. To adwa mun kapok atieko. Tangisu ni wan joma ne nitie Zimbabwe. Mane Beryl opuonjo Zimbabwe wang'eny. Kata nange taura nangona kutaura Shona maningi gana kutaura. Na I see Mimi only. I want us to sing because Beryl loves singing. Ni neno kiwacho gimana mora. Onge gima di more kodhi elo. Kawa wero ne wera chieng mano hero. Omiyo nyithindo ma Zimbabwe ringuru ka pio. Joma nodak Zimbabwe kwau. Biuru ka wino kreturu pio. Daka chiel. Adwa nwa wer ne wera chiel. Ta weru gi machiek na sang'eny. Leta ne uru. Okay.